Have you ever wondered if it's even possible to build a community that's completely self-sustaining? Well, today we're going to break down the ambitious business plan for something that tries to do just that. It's called the XONJX Estate, a pretty radical concept in Central Texas that's trying to merge a tech campus, a farm, and a trade school all into one single integrated system. And to really get a feel for just how big this idea is, you just have to look at their mission statement. They're not just building some campus. They're aiming to create, and I'm quoting here, a living ecosystem that restores the land, renews the mind, and regenerates opportunity. Wow. I mean, that really sets the stage for a project with a completely different approach.
So how on earth does a project like this actually work? Well, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the community blueprint itself. Then we'll dive deep into its renewable power core. From there, we'll check out the ecosystem for people, and of course, the economic engine that makes it all run. And finally, we'll look at the big picture, the plan to actually replicate this model everywhere.
All right, let's start with the blueprint. What exactly is the XONJX Estate? Well, picture this, a 100-acre smart campus right in the middle of Central Texas, where all these different things, advanced tech, hands-on education, and sustainable living, all come together in one seamless system. Now, here's a key term you're going to hear a lot, agrivoltaics. It sounds complicated, but it's actually a pretty simple and brilliant idea that's central to the whole thing. It just means using the same piece of land for two things at once, generating solar power and farming. So just think of it as farming in the shade of solar panels. It's a super smart way to get the most out of every single acre. And this is where you really see how different the XONJ model is. You know, your typical campus just consumes a ton of power, right? Well, XONJ generates its own. And instead of keeping living and learning separate, it's all integrated. But honestly, the biggest difference, the real game changer, is the outcome. Graduates aren't just pushed out to find jobs, they're trained to create their own businesses, which helps build this circular, self-sustaining economy. Okay, so let's get into what powers this entire ecosystem, the renewable power core. You really have to think of this as the heart of the estate. It's the engine that drives every other part of the project. So to give you a sense of the scale here, let's talk numbers. The estate's solar farm takes up 20 acres, and it's not just static panels. These arrays actually rotate to track the sun, and they're designed to generate a peak capacity of 2 megawatts. That is a lot of clean energy. But you know, making power is one thing. Storing it, that's the real game changer. And get this, the estate can run completely off-grid, totally on its own for 72 straight hours. That's 3 full days, all thanks to its on-site battery banks. So this isn't just about being green, it's about being completely independent. And of course, we've got to talk about the environmental impact, which is huge. These renewable systems are projected to offset 2,500 metric tons of CO2 every single year. So it's a local project with a serious connection to the global goal of cutting carbon emissions. So how does this all fit together? It's this really cool 4-step hybrid system. First up, you've got the rotating solar panels capturing as much sunlight as possible. Second, kinetic turbines in their water recycling and fish farm systems provide a constant hydro backup. Third, and this part is just wild, they have an on-site lab that actually makes batteries from e-waste to store extra energy. And finally, a smart AI acts like the brain of the whole grid, constantly moving power around for maximum efficiency. It is a complete closed-loop energy ecosystem. Pretty incredible. All right, so we've got the tech down. But what about the people? Let's move on to Section 3, an ecosystem for people. If the power core is the heart, then you can think of the living and learning parts as the body, designed to grow and sustain human potential. And at the core of this human ecosystem is this really unique curriculum they call ACT 0.0 to 0.9. It's basically a pathway that takes participants, folks like at-risk youth and veterans, on a whole journey. It starts with personal discovery, then moves to mastering a trade, learning about money, and then ultimately launching their own business. It's a whole framework for building a life, not just for getting a job. And they're not just throwing people into training and hoping for the best. No, the support system here is all-encompassing. Participants get a monthly living allowance, affordable housing, meals, and mentorship. This whole setup lets them focus completely on their training and growth because they know their basic needs are covered. The program even helps them build credit, which is so crucial for setting them up for financial independence later on. And speaking of housing, you've got to hear this. It's not your typical dorm room. The estate actually features underground dominiums, which are these cool lodges built from repurposed shipping containers. I mean, that little detail just perfectly captures the whole project's philosophy. It's innovative, it's resourceful, and yeah, it's a little bit futuristic. Okay, the big question. This all sounds amazing, but how does it pay for itself? Let's get into our fourth section, the self-funding economic engine. This is the financial model that's designed to make the whole estate not just sustainable, but profitable. The key to making this work financially is that they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. That is so vital for a project this big. They have a diversified income model. So yeah, government contracts are the biggest piece of the pie, but you've also got sponsorships, product sales from their own farms, selling renewable energy back to the grid, and even revenue from media and events. It all adds up to a really robust bottom line.
Now check this out. This slide really tells the story of the business model. With a total investment of $12.5 million to build everything, the estate is projected to generate $11.3 million in annual revenue. That's almost a full return on investment every single year. It shows this isn't just designed to break even, it's designed to be highly profitable and to fuel its own growth.
And to really get why that government contract slice of the pie is so big, you need to know this acronym, SDVOSB. It stands for Service-Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business. This is a federal certification that gives the estate priority access to government contracts. It's an absolutely crucial piece of the entire economic engine. All right, so for our last section, let's zoom all the way out to the ultimate vision, a replicable franchise prototype. The big idea here is that this 100-acre estate, well, it's not meant to be a one-off project. It's a blueprint designed to be copied. They're not trying to build this whole thing overnight either. It's a smart, phased rollout over 5 years. It kicks off with a 20-acre pilot core in year 1, just enough to get power self-sufficiency. Then it systematically expands, adding the trade school facilities, then the housing, and eventually reaching the full 100-acre integration and total independence by year 5.
And that right there, that's the ultimate goal. All of these different systems, the power, the education, the economy, they're all designed to create a franchise model for community restoration. The dream is to take this blueprint and duplicate it in other communities, both in cities and in rural areas, and adapt it to whatever they need locally.
So this leaves us with a really big, thought-provoking question. Is the XONJX estate a new blueprint for how we can build sustainable communities? Or is it just a fascinating experiment that's ultimately too complex to scale up? Well, I guess the answer to that is something we'll see unfold in the years to come.